Welcome to Food Shrinks.
I'm Molly Carmel,
I'm Molly Painshaw.
I'm Clarissa Kennedy.
and we are your food shrinks. We are three eating disorder and addiction therapists. We walk the walk, we talk the talk. We're also real life friends, and we are here to share kind, honest, funny, unfiltered conversations we have when no one's recording. Except for today, we are recording. So, welcome to Food Shrinks. I got the mic today because the craziest thing happened last week where I got really, really sick. I don't know. You know what? I've been in recovery for so long and sickness throws my game off. It's like I take it very personally. I take it very personally and very shamefully. And I was at my best friend's house and I thought I had COVID. And I may have had COVID, by the way, but that's not really the point of the episode. And I just want to tell you one story about it before I get into it, which is just like the window to my sweet soul. Like, talk about what I'm healing in my life. So I'm at my very best friend's house. Like, I'm the godmother to her children. And, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and there's glass in my throat. And I just arrived that night. And my first thought is, like, you have to leave. Like, you have to get out of here. And I hadn't even unpacked yet. And I was like, you have to get out of this house. You're bad. Like, I take COVID. You're bad.
Yes.
You're going to infect everyone, and everyone's going to hate you, and you're going to be the cause of the COVID, and the whole house, I'm really there. And I have a little bit of recovery in me. And so I think, okay, like, before you do that, just go upstairs and tell Lauren that, just go upstairs and tell Lauren you're leaving. And she's like, I wake her up in the middle of the night. There's no kids in the house. She's like, I didn't even know what was wrong because we didn't have any kids. And I said, wow. I said, I think I have COVID. She's like, okay, I'll get you a test in the morning, like a normal person would say.
Yeah.
And,
Not flee the scene.
I said, no, I don't need a test. I'm just going to leave. She's like, it is 3 o'clock in the effing morning. What is wrong with you? You are so messed up, Molly. She's saying this as like my sister, and I said, okay, it's just not 2020. Go downstairs, go to sleep. I'll take care of you in the morning. Anyway, so I'll keep coming back. But I was so sick. And I don't know what happened. Talk about grace. But I was like, I have to do life differently. I just have to start doing life differently. I have to make a conscious choice to start doing life differently because I was in, I'm at my happy place with my family and all I want, FOMO and everything, right? And so the first thing I do is I cancel work on Wednesday, which is the hardest thing for me to do. Clarissa and I were supposed to do a tape, and I was like, I feel so guilty every time I cancel because I don't know if you guys are longtime Food Drinks listeners, but I have this I was canceling a lot in the beginning of our relationship. Like so many guys, like the trauma was endless. And then, everyone's like, we're doing a boat day. And I'm like, I'm sick. I can't go on the boat, right? And then everybody's like, we're going to dinner. It's the most amazing restaurant. And I'm like, I'm sick. And I'm having this thought, like, I'm never going to feel better and they're not going to want me here and I'm not going to be interesting to anybody. And so it's like, I just want to share, like, saying no is so hard. Because, like, you have to, for me, I had to, like, sit with all of this, like, discomfort. And everyone's like, we're going to the beach today. And I'm like, I'm not going to the beach. And I have to say for me too, being in recovery, I feel like I owe people my best self sometimes. Like I have some guilt about who I used to be. And I was a very depressed person. So much of my amending relationships was about starting to show up. Like, again, as you guys know, I'm an AA, and people are like, why are you going to a 3-year-old's birthday party? I'm like, because I always bailed on everybody like that. And so I think that comes into collision with taking care of myself, like prioritizing other people, being scared they're not going to invite me again. Woof is all I can say. But I did it, and now I feel better. I mean, that's like the end of it. I feel so much better, and I think this would have been really prolonged if I didn't say no to all these things. But as the listener, just it is hard. Do not underestimate how hard it is to say no. And I think do not underestimate how hard it is to prioritize rest.
Hmm.
I was even like, oh, Molly, you could just like go to the beach and you can like lay on the beach. And then there's just this graceful voice inside of me is like, no, go to bed. No,
Hmm.
that's not rest. I don't know. I feel very grateful that heard this voice, but what do you guys
Yeah.
think?
No, it reminds me of I was in Costa Rica with my friend Jody, I think in February, and I knew I had come down with like whatever Montezuma's revenge. It was like a nightmare. And so I was like going, like trying to sleep, but then I knew we had this boat trip out to this island and I was like feeling a little better. So I cold showered and I drove we were driving on the way there. It's also Costa Rica, which it means it's like 35 degrees, which is like almost 100 degrees. So we get to this pier and we walk out on the pier and it does is smell like dead fish. And there's the little
Oh,
boat
God.
we're supposed to go in and all of a sudden it's in my mouth. And I'm like, Jody, give me your keys. I don't even know what happened. I went back to the car. I just, I was sick everywhere essentially. But this is who I am, right? The pusher, the goer, the show upper. And like, it was the least loving thing. Jody wouldn't have cared if I had, stayed home and looked after myself. She's fine to do the things on their own. But it was like really just, again, me abandoning myself, right? And trying to show up for others when I'm almost dying. But I'm wondering because I've also had the experience just being on this last vacation with my family. I got sick and they are like, oh, don't give it to me. Because that happens a lot, right? That like we do. And I think even in this culture now, post COVID, right? People respond to people being sick very differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right.
And I think that's hard to be around or be with and still just trying to like love yourself enough through that. I think I was better this time that I just like went to bed early. I actually loved it as an excuse. Oh no, I've got to spend more time in the steam room, right? It's like but yeah, I think some people can be treated like they are a pariah when they are sick and I think some people do have a lot of fear of like getting it from someone, and that can be really hard to be around and find ways to take care of yourself too.
Yeah. That hangover from COVID is so real.
Yeah.
Just get it in the supermarket. Like it's not one person gives it to you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think the sickest I ever have been in my life was December 2023, January 2024. I started getting sick right before Christmas, and I was so sick. I got up on Christmas morning, went to watch my children open their Santa gifts, and I went right back to bed. I didn't get back out of bed until New Year's Eve. Keep in mind, I'm at my in laws this entire time. It is a house of like literally 10 people, multiple, like 4 or 5 dogs, like the whole thing. And I haven't left the room in a week. I feel well enough to leave New Year's Eve to go to my sister-in-law's place, come back. We went home the next day. 2 days later, I'm passing out in the shower. It's the only
I
reason why I went
remember
to the
that.
doctor. Yeah, it's the only reason. My husband's like, I'm calling an ambulance.
Just
I'm
so you
like,
know,
"The hell
Molly
you
was
are."
trying to work that day. I need that on record. She was
Yes,
trying
I
to work
was.
that day.
That's
When
true.
I
That's
tell
true.
you I almost food shrinked with you and ran a group and saw 2 patients, I'm not surprised by this.
Yeah, no, I was
It's
on the
insane,
floor.
but I'm
I was
not surprised
yeah.
by it.
Yeah, I was on the floor in front of the toilet messaging Clarissa, I think I'm gonna be okay. Just give me a few hours. Got up, got in the shower, passed out in the shower. My husband's like, that's it. And I'm like, no. So I went to the walk-in and they're like, oh yeah, well you have COVID and influenza A. So then I continued to be sick for the entire month of January because then it turned into a sinus infection, amongst others, because again, I wasn't taking care of myself. But I'm a person where I will keep working, but I don't mind. I don't mind having like the very reasonable reason as to why I can't go do like the more social function of like, oh, I can't go to the grocery store, or oh, I can't go to the dinner or host anybody over. But it's so true, and I think some of it is this idea of no matter how far in my recovery I am, I think there is still this belief inside of me that I'm only as worthy as I am productive. And that if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not seeing clients, if I'm not doing podcasts, if I'm not writing emails, whatever it might be, then I'm just a burden. Like this is a true belief I have to this very day, and it shows up consistently because of the debilitating depression and anxiety that I've been trying to work through for a while. But I mean, I think it's this idea of giving, like you were saying, Molly, grace, like giving ourselves permission to just say like, you're not well, and it's okay to like go take care of yourself and however that needs to look. But that often like battles then with the part of me that's like, well, then you're not good enough, you're not worthy, any of those things.
I relate
Yeah.
to that so hard. I feel like I felt that way because I was like a guest at someone's house,
Mm-hmm.
sick and like I felt that way about Clarissa straight. I felt that way about my group. Meanwhile, my group's like, oh my God, we've never seen you be sick a day in your life, which is probably its own problem.
Right?
But I felt that way, like, wait, you're not going to go to dinner with them. Like, what's your value? Like, what's your value then if you're just sitting in a room being sick? You guys, I am sharing this with you, but I also would like to say, like, this is some deep pathology. Like, not to
Mm-hmm.
listener, like, this is like, this is not healthy or normal. You can just be loved, even if especially if you're sick. You're worthy.
Yeah, because we would do that for somebody else, right? So
If
the
someone was
first
sick at my house, I probably would take the day off.
Yeah. Clarissa got COVID in 2022 when we were in Scotland. Clarissa got COVID last year when we were in Oslo. And like it wasn't like, geez, Clarissa, like, let's go. We paid all this money to be on this vacation. Let's go. It was like, what do you need? Do you just need to rest? Do you need to whatever? Like, are you feeling up to walking into the store to go get food? Whatever it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
But like this compassion and grace that we give to others, we so often do not give to ourselves. And that's the practice of self-compassion. And it is a journey, that like some of these things just take time, and maybe we find a way to give ourselves compassion and grace like momentarily in one situation, and then 10 minutes later we're not giving ourselves grace, and that's okay too. Like I do want to totally normalize that and say like, you're still learning, like you're still figuring it out. And I just keep hoping that the next time I get sick,
Yeah.
because inevitably I will, my children will go to school, and they will start school, and 3 days later I'll be leaving for the UK. So hopefully I get nothing in that
Yes.
short time frame. But when I get back, those little petri dishes are going to bring me everything. And inevitably I'll get it. And I am hoping and putting it out there in like, you all can hold me accountable. I really hope
We will.
that I can have more grace for myself when it happens.
No, it actually was so important to me being able to travel with you and you give me that compassion, because just reflecting on that, I don't really remember much about, growing up, but I feel like having parents as that were doctors, it was like, are you really sick? Let's
Wow.
stick a temperature or thermometer at wherever we go. And then even like reflecting on some of the relationships, it was like, I remember feeling almost in that same way, like with Jody, where I pushed myself to go. I remember when I was in a relationship trying to do that to go to a golf game. I remember waking up and I was like hallucinating, and I woke up my partner and I was like, I think we're getting carbon monoxide poisoning. And he was like, what's wrong with you? Like, go back to bed. Like that invalidation, right? Again, in that lack of compassion. So like when we've never received compassion during all those times, I think it's really hard to model for ourselves. And I think that may also be an important part of the practice.
I think that's actually like it's a very powerful point. What I was thinking about was like, I think for one of the first times in my life, I took the advice I would give somebody. Right? Like,
Mm,
right? Like as they say, like I acted as if, but I really did. Because my first thought was like, just go to the beach. Like, it's dinner. You're still gonna have to eat dinner. Like, and then there just was
Mm,
this other voice that was like, I don't think you should do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. My mom's big thing about COVID, side note, is my mother thinks the only cure to COVID is sleep, not rest, not watching TV. My mother, so like, I think that infused in my head somewhere. Like, and then there was this little part of me that's like, I've had long COVID, like I've had all that stuff. I've had like lingering illness because I'm unwilling to treat it full force.
mm-hmm.
So I was just like throwing another like Advil at it or whatever, it's like, and I just wanted to try to enjoy my summer, and I just tried something new. I mean, I think that's another piece I want the listener
Yeah.
to hear, which is like, what if you just, and it was the really incredibly brave because I was really scared of the outcome, right? Like, I was like, what if you just stay in bed for 3 days and see if everybody hates you at the end and see if they ask you to leave? And Molly is like laughing, and it's like the truest thing I've ever said, which is so lovely. See if they ask you to leave. See if they eye roll you. Me too. My parents were like, I mean, I had a lot of hypochondria as a child from like not being able to process trauma. And so I just was like, my illness was always questioned. Are you sure? Are you really sick? Are so for whatever, if you're listening, that lasts, that hits the neural pathways. Are you sure you're sick? Are you really sick? You're not really sick. Come on, Molly, go to school. You have to go to school, whatever.
Yeah.
Tangled web we weave. But
Yeah.
I really do think like I'm a 47-year-old adult,
Yeah.
and I just took the advice I would give somebody else, and I bravely thought, this is not well, but I'm like, if they break up with you, you have other friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was giggling though, Molly, because I'm like, oh my God, I have that thought all the time. Like, oh, if I don't do this thing, Clarissa's gonna hate me. Or,
Yeah.
I had a thing go down yesterday and I had to I'm like, oh fuck, excuse me, the language. But I was just like, I have to tell Clarissa this thing
I just
happened
lost
because
like
it's
20
important.
followers. Molly.
Probably because it's important to our business, and I have to tell her this thing just happened, so she knows, kind of deal. And I'm like, this might be it. This might be the thing. She's like, that's it. We're not friends. We're not business partners. We're not whatever. And so I had to giggle because I'm just like, that is like I don't even know. That is some part that's trying to keep you safe, but certainly isn't reality.
Well, it's
And
not
so
reality because it's so offensive. If I said that to Lauren, like, well, I thought I'd stay in bed for 3 days, and I thought if you don't want to be friends with me anymore, you'll just like write me out of your will. I mean, can you imagine if I said that? She doesn't listen, but like, can you imagine you said to Clarissa, well, I told you this thing, and I thought, well, if we're not best friends anymore now,
Yeah.
been a good
Yeah.
run, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But there's a part that goes there, right? That's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be the thing that makes her take her love away.
mm,
And we do that with illness, and we do that with all of these different scenarios, and it's that trauma or that survival response
Yeah.
of just how do I not be a problem? The
yeah.
appeasement
I'm
piece of
having
everything.
like all of these like aha moments right now about like when
Wait,
I
let's just do it. What's your takeaway from today's episode? You could have a long takeaway. I love the
okay,
takeaway.
my
part of it.
takeaway is a lot of this like resistance to taking care of myself during sickness is actually childhood stuff. Like what was just coming up for me was, when I broke my ankle and I told my parents it was broken, and they're like, oh, it's fine. And then 6 months later, I went and got an x-ray and it was broken. And when I called dad in grade 9 and I was like, I don't feel well, you have to come pick me up. And I had red dots on my face, and he's like, it's not that important. And then I went to his office, fell asleep, and I was like the first case of measles. And then I had another situation in grade 10 where I was like, I don't feel well. And they're like, I'm not sure. And I had mono. Like there's like, and then it's been repeated in relationships with my ex-husband. And like, there's some stuff here I didn't really see. And now I almost want to get sick so I can do it differently.
Okay, I think we can practice these things without willing ourselves to be ill.
We're gonna
Not
hold you
in
to it.
Scotland. Not in Scotland.
Please,
Not
not
in
in Scotland.
What do you think, MP?
I think my big takeaway, or something I guess that I would want to reiterate for anybody watching or listening in general would be, for me, for me, it's easiest to do it outwardly first before I do it inwardly. Meaning, when I practice just believing the person in front of me the first time, right? Something bad is happening, I'm ill, this bad thing happened, whatever it might be. If I just practice believing people the first time, and then if I can turn that inward, right? Oh, you're sick. Just believe yourself the first time. Don't throw an Advil at it, like you were saying, like what, Dayquil, whatever it might be. Or if I can just go to that place of what would I say to Clarissa, to my children, to my husband, right? To these people that I really love in my life, to Molly, to, my dog, he's licking a spot incessantly. Like I would call the vet, right? And so if I could take what I practice outwardly and turn it inwardly sooner, that maybe this pattern would start changing sooner.
Yeah. My takeaway is that, life is just progress. It's just progress. And I have to say, I'm working really hard to be worthy of my own compassion and self-love. And bit by bit, that's the thing about life. Bit by bit and bit by bit. And one might see this episode last week of my life as a really small thing, but I'm not thinking that. I think it was, and I want to say that to the listener, small things are big things. When I decided to challenge my core beliefs about sickness and about attachment, right? Even telling Lauren that, I think there's a time in my life I would have literally, this is not me touting myself to be your therapist, but, I think I would have just left at 3 a.m. and called her and said, hey, I had to go, I had COVID. And screwed her, in a way, the selfishness of that is, even though I'm protecting myself, like MP's saying, I am doing things differently in my life. And I'm very proud of that. And it's bit by bit, and it's little by little, and it's moment by moment. It's just these small 5-degree shifts. It's not always this big, 180 degree, I'm sober now. These little teeny check-ins with is this reality? Yeah. Is it reality that they're going to hate you and ask you to leave? Well, the only way you're going to know is if you check.
Right.
Well, and isn't that just what healing actually is?
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Well, if you want to hear more about this topic or others, if you have questions that you want us to answer, please just give us an email, asktheshrinks@foodshrinks.com.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Food Shrinks. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for guidance suited to your needs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach others on the recovery journey. Take care, and remember, freedom with food is possible. See you next time.